host, Antonio. How's everybody doing today? I said I was going to say my jingle today. To manipulate history is to manipulate consciousness. And to manipulate consciousness is to manipulate power. And to manipulate power is to manipulate possibilities. Welcome to the show. You got a great one for you today. I just messed with y'all this morning. Yeah, the sun is shining out there. Look like we're going to have a good lineup of days to come here in Cleveland, Ohio. That is good. We can take it. We can use it going into mid-September. Yes. We got a great show for you today. We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on locally here in Cleveland, and try to get out a calling, for Black men to come together and vote today in a remote studio. We got our good brother Vince. What's going on, brother Vince?
Well, a lot is going on. Today is Fresh Fest. So there are going to be a lot of folks over at
Ah,
Ridall, and they're going to be treated to Big Daddy Kane on stage somewhere around 8 o'clock, and a lot of local artists that will be on the stage before that. Also, Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival is coming up next weekend, and a little bit later in the hour, we're going to have Donna Dabbs on to tell us all about that. But in the meantime, we have a brother who is a political strategist, and in our pre-interview, I described him as the Arnold Pinckney of the 2020s. His name is Kenn Dowell, and he has a political consulting platform. He's got a YouTube channel where he does a program called, or a podcast called, Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell. And Ken, bruh, I really dig the theme music, man. That's banging. I like I like the theme music for his podcast. So we seem to be having a few technical difficulties, but I think we're going to push through these, give you the information that you need about an event that is coming up next weekend on the 20th. And it is a Brothers Get in the Game fundraiser to empower 1,000 Black men. It's going to be September 20th, 2024 from 6 to 9 p.m. at The Lanes. And that's 21400 Southgate Park Boulevard in Maple Heights, Ohio. So as soon as Ken's picture populates back, we'll get engaged in the conversation with him. Because Kenn is, I guess, in the political game, I thought it would be good to talk to him about politics. Of course, one of the big things that has happened within the past few days is the presidential debate. So, Kamala Harris squared off with Colt 45, and what happened. Brother Antonio, you were able to observe the debate. I'm sure you have some observations, and we'll be happy to talk about that. But Kenn, welcome to 360 Info Network.
Oh, thank you for having me on here, man. As you see, we're having some technical difficulties this morning, but we're
Okay.
about to get it all squared away for you in a hot second. And but I'm glad you had me on the show, and I'm here to help out as much as I can.
Okay, so you have this event taking place on the 20th. I did give the details about it to our listening and our viewing audience. If you could just tell us about Voices for a Better Future Political Action Committee and the work that you're doing.
Voices for a Better Future is a political action committee that was set up to help African American men and women to get more involved in the political process, and as a tool to not just get involved in the political process, but to be a tool for a voice for some of the injustices and things that are taking place as it relates to African American men and women. Um, Give an example. One of the things we talked about earlier was the fact that women does a great job of getting out there advocating for their causes and organizing around them. And African American men sometimes have difficulty in doing those things. And this is our platform gives an opportunity for us to kind of focus on men and women to try to give everybody equal voice.
Okay, and you have some heavy hitters involved in this. The council president, Blaine Griffin, and I think you mentioned to be former mayor Mike White is going to be participating. tell me what was it that basically spurred you to say we got to do something as black men?
Um, Basically what it was that we had I was in politics for I've been doing business here in the city of Cleveland in Ohio for over 25 years as it relates to politics. Do a lot of behind the scenes work with a lot of people. Mostly, I tell everybody, and really no joke, almost every major campaign that done happened in this town over the last, I would say, 25 years or so, I was some way involved in it. I was Marsha Fudge political director for her for the last, hold on one second, people.
So he was Marsha Fudge's political director for her campaign.
This one
Looks
I'll be
like
good.
he
There we go. Okay. So yeah,
there
so
we
I
go.
was
Yeah.
Marsha Fudge, political director for the last 18 years, served as her political director as Congresswoman, and then she went on to become Secretary of HUD. And after that, I decided to then, kind of pivot a little bit from politics and doing candidate campaigns to looking at how can we do, what can we do as to make our mark in this upcoming election. And what we found out was that studies were showing that African American women was ranking among the lowest, and Ohio was one of the lowest places or places that women could live as it relates for employment, education, and things of that nature. And we found out if that was a bad place for women, African American women, then definitely for African American males, we have to be ranking on about the bottom of all of that if we falling behind them. So what we decided to do with the pack was go around from different areas in the state of Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati, Akron, and Youngstown, and places like that. We started out doing some barbershop talks, talking to individuals about and males about the upcoming election, just what their thoughts on it, and just in politics in general, getting a just and an understanding from that. Then from that standpoint, we decided to come back home, and Councilman Griffin wanted to do something and bringing together African American men, and that was a great opportunity for us to jump on board, and we jumped on board with him. And now he wanted to bring everybody together. We had the mechanism and the tool that can sustain it, so it was a perfect match.
Okay. So what are you going to be doing on this in this event coming up? I see that it's a fundraiser. What is the intention of the fundraising?
The intention of the fundraiser is that on October the not October, excuse me, um on
September
September
20th.
28th. I'm multitasking. I'm trying to bring up a graphic for you guys to look at also. On September 28th, we're having a what we call a boots on the ground campaign where we're going to try to get 1,000 men. Our goal is to put 1,000 men on the streets and have these men. We're going to then go door to door in the African American community and be able to reach out to African American males and try to get them more engaged into the process or get out an early vote message for African American males. So on September 28th is our goal to do that. And then on that's our goal on the 28th. And then as it relates on September the 20th next week, we're having a fundraiser over at the Lanes, which is in Maple Heights. And at that place, we're going to have a fundraiser where we have our keynote speaker is going to be none other than Mayor Michael White. He's coming in to speak with us at that event and be a part of that event for us and be our keynote at that event. And Mayor Jackson is going to attend. Mayor, George Forbes is attending. Mayor Bibb is attending as well. And so this is just, we're trying to cover and get every base as we can, reaching out to all kinds of African American males to come out, relax, enjoy the evening with us, take in some good words from Mayor White to kind of talk about togetherness, unity, and how we as Black men can possibly work as a collective to do better, and this new generation, the generational change. So it ought to be interesting. The whole purpose is to try to, like I say, raise money for the 28th. On the 28th, we would like to get 1,000 men out. We're going to be up at Zema George Recreation Center is where we're going to kick that off at. And we're going to have 1,000 men hitting the streets. And we're going to have a great big tent up there for those who can't walk to do phone banking right there. Again, our message is not a vote for this person, vote for that. Our message is to straight up get out to vote. Black men matters, and we want our voice, our vote to be our voice, and that's basically what we're doing on those 2 days.
Okay. You mentioned Marsha Fudge and some of the other folks that you have worked with over the years. My assumption is that you have primarily worked with Democrats, and I'm just curious about your perception of how this presidential election campaign is rolling out, impact that that could have on the election.
You kind of broke up, but I think your question was more along the lines of how I worked with Democrats in the past and how I feel that the Democrats is rolling out this election. Was that it? I think I kind of got.
I think that might have
Yeah,
been.
I'm just curious about your thoughts about the way things have happened. Initially,
Okay. What?
Joseph Biden was going to run as president, and then it was determined that he doesn't have the cognitive ability to fulfill that obligation.
Mhm.
So we got switched over to Kamala Harris. And I'm just curious about your perception of how that rolled out, particularly in light of the fact that the voters really didn't have a say in that.
Well, the way it turned out in the beginning, I believe that African American males, when it was Donald Trump and Joe Biden, we were what I call the golden ticket at that point because we had a choice of which one of these white men we were going to vote for. And the reason why I put it in that context is because African American businessmen and other guys, other men, was kind of looking at the fact that yeah, we kind of not really happy with Joe Biden. We really not happy with the Democratic Party for various different reasons. And therefore, we were sort of like, we can. There's a large group of brothers who may have went over to vote for Trump. Do I think that number would have been so significant that it would have changed a lot? Probably not. But I think we would have had more African American men voting for Donald Trump than we probably would have preferred. Once Kamala Harris became the nominee in that choice, then the things changed. African American men support African American women most of the time, I would say. And so, with that being the case, Kamala brought energy to the race. Kamala also brought a new perspective that now African American men was thinking about going maybe with Trump, but now we will sit back to maybe support the African American woman as well as look at the opportunities that may come because we do have an African American in there. Do I say that voters didn't have a choice? Yeah, voters had a choice on that. They had a convention that they put together that if you didn't want to vote for Kamala, that you had an opportunity there to not vote for her as being a nominee. So I think the process was right. Do I think that me personally, I think they kind of pushed Joe Biden out. I don't kind of like the way that went. I will say that. I think, you know, you talk about kick a man while he's down. I think the Democrats did that without question, and I don't think that was cool. But I think for the better good of where we at today, for everything that we need to have happen and to pull this election off, I think that was the best thing that could have happened.
You know, Ken, I have to ask you this in light of the fact that you brought up brothers supporting 45. In light of his history and the things that he has done that have affected black men and women and the country in general, how is it or what do you think would spurn a black man to want to put his vote on that ticket with that candidate?
There was a few things. The Democratic Party being the biggest one. I think there's some flaws in the Democratic Party that the party has came out that African American men are just not um, and I'm not even saying African American men. I'm gonna say men in general. That's why the white man is in that same position. I just think that some of the views that the Democrats have basically has really pushed out there has not shown enough moxie for either party, either side, for the white man and the black man. What I mean by that, the black man feels as if every other nationality or every other sex or anything else is sort of moving along the line and up the ladder, and African American males, as we talked about earlier, seeming to be pushed below the ladder for whatever reason. There's a lot of reasons but that's the way it feels. Business opportunities. It doesn't feel as if Donald Trump makes you feel as if, hey, you can be a winner like me at some point, and there's a good opportunity that success will follow you. And I think that message is one for folks who are dreamers, who are looking to try to do better with themselves. And sometimes the Democratic Party doesn't do a good message in making entrepreneurs and small business folks feel as if they are part of that process. So I think that kind of rhetoric that he was spewing in the beginning was the attraction. I think after this debate that we just had and listening to him, I think that changes a lot, because he's sort of told on himself on this one that he really doesn't have a plan. He really doesn't have an idea where he at, and his hatred for everything else that's going on is so deepened in his heart that he does not have the capacity to rule the country in a manner in which any of us can feel confident in. And I think that, that's how I kind of get it now versus the way it was before.
Well, I have to wonder, Ken, as you've spoken about the plight of black men and black women in this country, and the fact that we have been under a Democratic presidential paradigm in the past 4 years, what's going to be different in the next 4 years that couldn't be accomplished in the past 4 years if with a possible Democratic presidency?
Well, I think it's more so a Democratic presidency, and it's more so the person that's in the seat. I think Kamala Harris is a little bit different than Obama. I think she's different than Joe Biden. I think she's different than all the other Democrats that's there, because one, she became the first African American woman in that position upon her winning. And so I think that gives her that. I think she comes with a little bit more moxie and learn from the mistakes that others didn't. And what I mean by that is the learning from the mistakes that Obama did when he had the crown, and maybe should have pushed the gas a little bit more in certain situations where he didn't. She can look at that situation. She can look at the Joe Biden situation and understand from being a vice president and not being utilized in the manner in which she should have been utilized, so that this could have been easier for him as well as her. I think she learns from that to be able to say, okay, I will be a better leader because I don't understand what it is to hold other people back, and having a good vice president and the one that she has, that she will be able to work him in a way that can fit better into the overall scenario of everything they're doing. I think she learns from the fact that Joe Biden didn't pass a few, like the John Lewis law and a few other bills that African Americans just really wanted. And she understands that because she went to a HBCU. She understands from her sorority and the things that she's a part of that will constantly be in her ear about those things. I think that makes her a little bit more different, a little bit more pleasing towards helping African Americans in that regards than the predecessors.
Yeah. Well, there are those who surmise that the presidency has really been a presidency by committee rather than a presidency by Joe Biden, just based on his mental state. There are those who say that his cognitive decline has been evident for a period of years, not just all of a sudden now he doesn't have the marbles to do what needs to be done. And I'm just thinking in terms of you being a strategist, what do you think about the possibility that she could become president before the election and run as a president as versus a vice president running for the presidency?
That's too late. That
You
ship
say
is
that ship is sailed. Well, I just think it's interesting that all of a sudden we realize that he doesn't have all his marbles.
Oh, they knew that all along. They knew that all along. Yeah, it
true.
was no secret, and they showed videos, and we all knew that all along. But what they thought, honestly, is that they thought he had one more in him. They really did. And I think that debate scared the bejesus out of them and winning. It didn't scare me as much. To be honest with you, I still think he did better than Donald Trump did on the debate against Kamala Harris. So if you were to add them up, Joe Biden still, I just think we knew he was everything you saying, everybody already knew. Right. So the campaign, instead of everybody criticizing him and saying, oh my God, he's too old, he's this and that, maybe we should have embraced it and been like, oh wow, our candidate is getting old up there. We're gonna have to really understand this is. They didn't do that. What they did was they ostracized him. And they said he's old. I mean, they were crying on TV like 30 minutes after, act like the man died, you know. And then, and to make matters worse, to me, to make matters worse, they took the seat from him when he had COVID. And he's locked up. He's away from everybody. Then they go snatch the seat from him. Now,
well, again, I still think, you know, yeah, we know about that, but as far as politics and like Ari did a little piece about experience. Trump had zero experience. Kamala has 31 to 34 years of experience being in politics. He has none. So I'm saying that to say, with Joe Biden's 50 years of being where he was at working, you know, he forgot more stuff than Trump can ever even dream of. He has no experience at all in what he was doing. And then again, just look at all the incompetent people that he put around him in his cabinet. I really don't even get this. Then he just said in the debate, I'll just fire them. You don't fire people, I fire. But why you put the incompetent person in that position in the first place? And lastly, what people don't really understand is that most of the people that has been attacking him and talking about his decision making and his character has not been Democrats. They've been Republicans and people that know him up front. So, you know,
now
it's right there for you.
He proved yesterday. He proved that debate. Kamala Harris said there was a whole lot of sound bites in there. And coming from a political standpoint, I think the one that got mostly, it was a lot of them, but one thing that she said that resonated to me, and I think it resonated to a lot of white folks that his supporters were, she said that Donald Trump does not have a plan for you. She looked right in the camera and she said, this brother do not have a plan for you. And he don't. No matter how they looked at it, everything they went through and everything they said, she has a plan, he don't. So at the end of the day, I think that she's going to really walk away with this because they're going to keep pushing that because Donald Trump doesn't have a plan. He has a whole bunch of rhetoric and a whole bunch of garbage that he want to say, but he does not have a plan about how he's going to move this country forward. And in doing that, I think that is the reason why people are, that's why he's losing support that he's losing, and he's not fit for office. Just not fit. And I think that that's what this debate proved at this point. You know, they say, oh, Kamala did. I said, well, the bar was set pretty low. I mean, and I'm not taking nothing from her, but that bar was set pretty low. Donald Trump was the worst we done ever seen anybody on the stage. He said they're actually eating kids in Springfield. I mean, you know, he actually put that out there. And some of the other stuff that he said was just really crazy. And so I think he's done. Me personally, I think this is over with, and we need to kind of put the put the end to this and kind of just get across the finish line.
Well, it's going to be interesting to say the least. And, you know, the observation that I had and that I've been thinking about lately, again, just going back to his fitness to be president, if there was a call at 3:00 in the morning and the call came to the president of the United States and he had 6 minutes to make a decision as to whether or not he was going to launch a nuclear weapon, would he be fit to do that? And if he's not fit to do that, the question in my mind is, why is he still the president? You know, I look at this process, and I know you said, Ken, that, you know, there was process at the convention and there was an ability to choose someone else. But I think before we got to that convention, that decision had already been made. And I think some of the decisions that are being made give the illusion of participation by the voters. But I just keep going back to the primary process. You know, in the primary,
the voters are involved in it. I mean, you say that, but the voters are involved in it. That process where they went through, there were voters who were talking about how that seat was going to work. It was voters who was talking to Joe Biden in regards about whether he should stay or whether he should go. There were voters who were part of the democratic process that voted. There were people here that were actually voters who were part of the makeup of saying, hey, we're going to Chicago to vote. There were people there who didn't vote for Kamala Harris too. There was people who abstained and who were actually there who said, I'm not voting for. So that process and everything was there. Now, to your point, did she have the majority of the votes walking in? Yeah, because that's politics, and that's how politics and everything goes. But was there a process set up? Yeah. Now, does that mean that my neighbor next door wasn't in on that decision? Does that mean that I wasn't in or you wasn't in? We're not in those positions in that process to do that. Our position in that process is when we go to the polls and we go vote and we vote for that candidate. That's our position, and that's our part. Right. You had other people who were in that who did that, and that's all I say with that.
Well, here's one thing to that, just to add into that. Me personally, the way things were going and dealing with the whole, selection process, I feel if it turned out to be an open convention, I think it would have caused more chaos, and it would fuel the Republicans, with more of their rhetoric of what they was able to do. I think by her stepping in was the logical choice as far as politics is concerned, because you can just keep she was the more qualified one just to keep the things moving and not waste a lot of time. So if it was chaotic with an open convention and this person trying to, throw their hat in the ring and things like that, I think it would have caused more chaos and maybe it would took a little bit more time for them to get up to that new person to get up to speed to where she is already at.
I would say this, that I believe that we talking about stuff that you learn from. And I would say if the Democrats should have learned something from this one is that we should always have a primary. I think it would have been good to have a primary so that if we would have had a primary, at least if, to your point, if that candidate, if this would have came up and say that Vince, you were running for president and you did a good, strong showing in the primary, you just didn't win because it's the president and we get it. At least we would have said, hey, we got somebody we done vetted, we kind of feel good about. You can say that the people had a process in it. I get that. And I hear you when that process. So I think the Democrats dropped the ball by not doing that and having it. They knew Joe Biden was going to be the nominee, but still, let these guys get out there. Let the voters get an opportunity to hear difference. Won't you try to hear what they're hearing and try to make yourself better? And I think the Democrats truly dropped the ball on that. And as a result of that, that's how we ended up with what we got. Because let's also kind of remember this too. Kamala Harris was never the very first pick for anybody. Kamala Harris was forced by the Democratic Party to be picked as the vice president for Joe Biden. The blacks and the African-American committees and Marcia Fudge and your Jim Clyburns and the Black Caucus and them were the ones who pushed for Biden to pick a nominee and pick an African-American for that seat. And as a result of that, let's keep it real, we said that Kamala Harris throughout his presidency was not vocal or seen a lot around in his administration. So let's don't get it twisted. They did everything they could to make sure they found anybody but her, and they were stuck. And good for them, because that's what we got for them being stuck and not doing what they did. So that's and we got it. But fellas, I really got to get ready to run. Hey Vince, I'm gonna tell you though, I really enjoyed myself being on your program, man, and I would love to come back, and I like to schedule a time that we can come back, man. And even if you want to talk about after the election, man, you want to do a special and we all get on and talk about all of that, I really like to do that with you guys.
Yeah, we did run short on time today, and there were some other things that I wanted to get to, but we'll have to just do it at another time. But once again, brothers, Get in the Game fundraiser at the Lanes, and that's on September 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. I will post a link in the description for this video so that folks have access to this flyer and they can get the information that they need to be there and hear George Forbes possibly, and Mike White and Council President Griffin and others who are firmly behind the idea that brothers need to be involved in the game. Thanks for joining us today, Brother Kenn.
Oh yeah, and Vince, you and my man, what's your name again? I forgot.
Hamptonio.
Hamtone. I looked at it and I didn't want to pronounce it right. That's what I thought it said. I said maybe they misspelled it. It's Hamptonio. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I got tickets for you guys. I want y'all, if y'all want to come to the event, I'll comp y'all some tickets so that you can come to the fundraiser. Love for you to be there. And Vince, I got about a half an
Yes.
hour almost every Saturday. So anytime I can give you about a half an hour. If y'all ever want me to jump on, I'm your guy. Just give me a call. But I can do that anytime you want to.
All
You know,
right,
I'm in
brother.
podcast and stuff, and I enjoy it. So thanks for having me on.
All right, my
Okay.
brother. Thank you. Mhm.
All
Okay.
right.
Talk to y'all later.
Thanks for being with us.
Okay.
All
Bye-bye.
right. All right. We are joined by Miss Donna Dabbs. She is the executive director of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, something that she has been doing for years. You know, I know at one point she was at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, and then she just kind of went into the business consultant mode. And then next thing you know, she's running the show. And Donna, I got to tell you, I am so impressed with what GCUF has done over the years. You have made it a world-class film festival. You have put Black filmmakers on center stage. You brought actors and folks in the game here to share their wisdom with folks. So it is a great thing. And that's one of the reasons that I was really intentional about bringing you on and giving you an ability to ring the bell so folks can come down and see these great films. Welcome to 360 Info Network. And I will also have to mention that at one point you were the co-host of 360 Info Network. And I don't want to give you credit for putting me on, but it's because of my interest in the show, because you were on it, that I decided, hey, I want to toss my hat in the ring and jump in this. So thanks to you, thanks to Hamptonio, that we are able to do what we do right here on AM 1490 WERA. Talk to us about this great festival that you have coming up next weekend.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me, Vince and Hamptonio. And yes, I didn't realize that I was responsible for you being there. But I'm happy. I'm happy that it is continued, because it's definitely a voice that we need our folk to still continue to tune into. So yes, I wear a lot of hats. I'm still doing consulting work. You know, my whole life and thing is about helping people and getting information in the right hands. So the festival just became another method to do that. So 13 years later, we're still going strong. And I thank you for speaking so well of the festival, because we put really a lot of heart and soul in continuing to deliver the festival. You know, when resources are always tight, like it's always the biggest challenge to raise enough money to put on a world-class festival, but we try to stay innovative using the latest technology. So this year's lineup looks really good. I'm really excited about it. I just distributed our program books around town. We have an email telling people where they can get it. So this is the best way to see what's all going on and plan for 9 days of good films and networking and meeting people. You know, anybody that's in the industry or wants to be in industry is the perfect place to be, to make those networks, there's those connections, and expand your own network.
Okay. So Thursday, this coming Thursday, you're going to have an opening of sorts at Karamu, and you're going to feature a film about Ridall. Talk to us about that film and why it was important for you to put that on the first night.
Well, first of all, it's a great film. Secondly, it's, you know, importantly tied to our community, our local base, and the festival that's going on this weekend. I think that's rooted in their work, the Ridolph, you know, the Fresh Fest Festival. So, you know, it's really the story about four men coming together, I think it was five men coming together and really establishing urban farming and educating us around our healthy eating and our lifestyle and the importance of having control of our own food source. So I'm excited that it's at Karamu. I was on the board for Karamu. I love all things theater in Karamu. So really to come home to have this festival and have this film kick off at Karamu is a great thing.
Okay. And what about the importance of film as a medium for raising consciousness and delivering information and just
I love it because it's the
giving
perfect
us an
way for,
opportunity to feel good about ourselves?
Yes, I think it's the best way to get information to the masses of our community through documentaries, feature films, short films. There's a whole gamut of ways people can be influenced. So the thing I love about it is you just don't have to preach to people to get your message across. They can sit in a theater and experience it with other people, which is the most important thing, is that, when you're in a community of people, the reaction is different than when you just watch a film by yourself. So it's a lot of educational opportunities, informational opportunities, and then entertainment. So it's a great place to have our voices heard for the community. Because, so many times the media sort of just takes us in one direction. And, life is fully dimensional of, comedies, tragedies, it's just a whole gamut. But a lot of the things we see in the media just don't put us in the best light. And in order to reach for the higher ground or, elevating your own self, you need examples. So, and you get lots of examples through film. And we have I think about 65, maybe 70 films total for people to experience.
Okay. As you were just sharing with us, I was thinking about that scene in Dolomite, the Dolomite movie that Eddie Murphy did. And, you talk about the experience of people being in the room and taking in the information. And then I thought about how we had to make that pivot because of the coronavirus, where, all of a sudden now it's about the screen in your house and not the screen at the movie theater. And this idea that theaters might become a thing of the past, just as people working from home and not going to an office has become a thing. So it seems as though you're in a place where you're going against the trends, going against the way we're being pushed into using goggles and stuff like that, and maintaining that idea that we can come together, experience something just as we do in theater. Live theater has great power just because it relies so much on us to use our active imagination and to bring the story on stage to life. And I think you have a similar dynamic when you're watching a film, even though it's delivered through a different medium, so you can't shout at the people who are on stage and them hear you, or on the screen and them hear you, but you still have that excitement. You still have a certain level of experience that you don't get when you're in your living room at home just watching it on your television set.
Yes. We've learned that, socialization is important, and it's important to your mental health, as well as your physical. You need to be around people. To some degree, you want to escape sometimes when the energy is too much, but it's very important to keep yourself socially active. We are embracing technology. We actually have a technology exhibit where people can come put on some goggles and experience what that is like, but also that's still in a dynamic setting with other people. So then once you have that experience, you can talk about that experience. So that's really what it's about. We are looking toward the future of how we do need to deliver a festival, because content consumption is changing and the way young people consume content is changing. So, trying to get them to sit down and watch a 90-minute documentary, well, it's got to be super interesting. So we're just keeping our focus on the future, because we have a strong audience since we've done our networking events, the Society of Urban Professionals, which is where, the co-founder, Alton Tinker, myself started. And then we sort of migrated the audience. Well, that was almost 20 years ago. So we have a good, strong, older audience, which is used to consuming films, in 90-minute segments and sitting in theaters for a long time. But young people, not so much. So, we have a consortium with some schools, or collaboration, I should say, that are bringing students to the festival. And that way we can learn, really what's going to work best for them and moving forward to the future, because you still want to have people coming to watch movies.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything built into your model that would encourage young people to consider filmmaking as a career?
Yes. Well, the first thing is with East Cleveland Public Schools, we have a collaboration with middle school or is it high school? I forget which, but they actually are part of a film committee where they watch some films and they score them. So, and there's on Saturday during the festival, there's 3 active workshops specifically for high school, middle school, and Tri-C film students. So that way they can watch films, talk about the industry, learn what careers there are. You know, our hope is to encourage people to take advantage, young people to take advantage of the local opportunities to go to film school, Tri-C, Cleveland State, you know, in the local region. So the answer to that is yes, you know, we're a small organization, but we're trying to do a lot of big things.
Yes. And speaking of being a small organization and doing a lot of big things, you're not just putting on a festival in September. You have events that happen all year round. So could you talk about some of the other things that you're doing just to continue to shine the light on GCUF?
Yeah, so again, the things we're doing year round in our programming is our youth education, which is the connection to, you know, the middle and high schools to make sure that we're supporting their education and give them a place to exhibit films. We were doing monthly screenings, but they were going to take that back probably to quarterly, you know, for the community. We call that our Black Cinema Cafe exhibition, where people can catch, you know, some of the good films that have played during the festival. We also have a lot of opportunities with partners as they see us as an expert in this lane to support projects they doing, film screenings they want to do. So those come up quite a bit. And there's actually one post festival that we're doing with the Cleveland International Film Festival where Lynn Whitfield is coming in. They have an award-winning film that has been touring the festival around that we couldn't squeeze in the festival because we learned about it a little late. But, you know, we're making a big event out of it, and she's going to grace us with her presence.
Oh, that should be phenomenal. I noticed, or maybe I haven't seen a full schedule, but usually on the opening night, you have an actor or an actress or someone in the industry. But this year, it's Ridall. Do you have plans to bring anyone in this year?
Yes, there's a premiere film screening on Saturday night titled Blended Christmas, and it's by the producer that graced us last year with his opening night film. So this film, Anthony Dalton, one of the principal actors, is going to be joining us on Saturday night for a special Cleveland premiere of a BET film. So it's going to come out on BET Plus later in the year, but we get to see it firsthand at GCUF on Saturday night. So we're planning a nice red carpet reception for that film.
Okay. Our brother Lynn has been sitting on the sidelines taking this all in. Lynn, is there anything that you want to take up with Donna?
Oh yeah. Well, how you doing, Donna?
I'm good.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, every time I take in and just listen. I'm always thinking about how can we use this to actually further our folks, give them more information, and sometimes talk about the disparities or inequities in that particular genre of field, whatever it is that we may be talking about. But the film industry is very important, and it seemed like Black folks has always been on, at least in modern times, on the tail end of filmmaking and telling our story. And I think it's just so important for us to tell our story and capture some of that industry back, because that is the key. That is key. It's in dealing with history and dealing with our story, there's so much information, and these days there's so much information that are becoming readily available for us to talk about, to inspire, because it's all about inspiration and motivation for us Black folks is concerned.
Absolutely.
And I think we got enough junk out there that is not doing anything beneficial for the mindset of individuals. So what I would encourage and like to see is that these young students that are getting into the industry, kind of massaging them to make them understand that they need to put out good quality stuff that would inspire folks, or maybe make that connection with their young peer groups and doing something positive, and setting a positive, because let's just keep it real, because folks take control of that. When we talk about music and films, this, that, and other, it's a small set of groups that are putting that information out there to the general public, nationwide, and they're skewing, or they're they're controlling the direction of the mindset of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just think about, Vince. When we back in the day, that's all. Look at the product, the end product that came out, or how we had to shake off the black exploitation type of films that were out there. Look what kind of light that shined on us, that we still halfway, folks our age is recovering from the pimp daddy, the black things, or the street type of stuff. So I'm saying that's an important role and important position, and we need to grab it and really it's like one of the spokes in the wheel that is necessary for us to be on this upward journey on positivity, for information, for empowerment, and all that. Use it to really go, lead the people in that direction, to assist in our consciousness. You know what I mean? And it's very important. It's a very important position to be in.
If I could add to, a couple points you
Yeah.
made, I would
Right.
put, instead the trailing edge, we are on the leading edge.
Mm.
The trail is because we don't have resources. Well, we didn't have resources in
Yeah,
the
that's
past,
what I mean. Yeah,
highlighted, right?
Mhm.
But now, the social media and TikTok and these platforms, even like yours, is an equalizer. So, or a gap closer, however you want to look at it, and you made me think one of the things that, where you all could help and bring us together a little bit more is, some of these filmmakers need a platform to have a conversation as well. So, as we move through the year and highlight films, et cetera. So, I'm certainly happy to come back, but more importantly, to have the filmmakers be able to, have some visibility and talk about their film and their work and the importance of it. I think that extends and helps us as well. So, it's just one of those things where I think we learned through our isolation through the pandemic, now that we're coming back and coming out strong. The thing that I see that's happening is more collaborations, more connections, so this doesn't have to be like this hard thing. We've all got platforms, we've all got exposure, we've all got followers. It's more now just connecting those dots. And one of the things that I was motivated to do, I looked at, they had a film festival in Chicago, XL Film Festival is called, and Lorenz Tate and his brothers were in attendance. You got a lot of attention, especially for an inaugural festival. So it just made me think, let me reach out to that festival director and see if we can chat, to talk about festival collaboration, sharing film. So those kind of things now. And that's easier to do because you can just go to somebody's Facebook or Instagram and send them a note and say, let's happen it. So I would suggest, give a little bit of thought to how, your platform can host some of these filmmakers, make a little, venture in the arts, make a little more space for, artistic conversations as we move forward, because it's all connected. And, I heard you all talking about, our political landscape, but it's all connected, right? In some way. What they did in that DNC this year is like they hooked every element up: celebrities, influencers, entertainment, information, education. It was just a joy to watch. So, they're dealing with some tough stuff.
Well, to your point, Donna, and I didn't watch the convention. I got clips here and there, but that whole paradigm is theater. It's scripted. That's one of the ways that they hook us, and then they entertain us, and they give us the information that they want us to have. And that's the other reason that it's so important for us to have our own product. Brother Hamtonio brought up the black exploitation era of film back in the 70s. But the thing that was important about that, and I go back to Dolomite, we took it upon ourselves to project what we wanted to see. We wanted to see ourselves as a hero, even though sometimes the hero was kind of an anti-hero because he was a pimp or a drug dealer or whatever. And I mean, we could go back to Superfly, Ron O'Neal, and so forth and so on. And that was a story that was created and told by a black person. That's why it's so important for us that we can be the hero, even though we're the anti-hero.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just, and see, now we're in a place where used to be you had to pay thousands of dollars to buy the camera, thousands of dollars to get the film. Now somebody can go to B&H Photo or Dot Camera and get a high resolution video camera and shoot a film, edit the film, and then connect with folks that can give some exposure to that film and get that story told. So we're in a completely different place now. And I think now more than ever, it's important for us to control the narrative, because for so long the narrative has been controlled for us.
Yes.
Donna, you want to talk about some of the films that you're going to be showing? I know you said there were 60 plus films, but
Yeah.
there are
Let me let
probably
me let
some
me look at my
coming up.
book here, because
Okay.
it's like there's a lot of strong documentaries that are coming. Let's see what we got here. There's that, you know, a lot of them have been making the film festival circuit. There's one, Unlikely Allies. I think that was produced by Snoop Dogg. The Debutantes is produced out of Akron. God Talk, which we had a chance to premiere early in the year, they're coming back. So, you know, there's nothing like a good documentary. Social justice documentary. There's Chocolate Milk, which is about infant mortality. And a lot of the documentaries are being supported by our community partners. And then, you know, short films. Short films are my favorite because you can get, you know, a concept pretty quickly. And the short films are in groups of about 90 minutes also. So they're, you know, it's packed full of anywhere from 4 to 7 or 8 shorts at one time. So the best way to find out what's going on is to go grab a booklet at one of those places, Unbar, Fashion by Fowler on Shaker Square, or you can download the program book right on the website and peruse. And then there's a film guide. There's an online film guide that shows you the posters of all the films. Just click on them. You can read the synopsis. You can watch trailers when trailers are there to get a sense of, you know, what type of films are being offered. The thing about a film festival is you have to plan, because, you know, back in the day, films might show 2 or 3 times. Now, with the amount of content that we're trying to get in the festival, most of them only screen 1 time. And the other thing that we're building is what we're calling Community Day on Monday. The festival runs 9 days, but 5 days in person. But on that Monday, September 23rd, there'll be a few select films and some programming, and it's either free or half price for the regular ticket, because, you know, we're really conscious about keeping the festival accessible for people financially also.
Okay. So you talked about planning. Can you give us a sneak peek of what you are thinking about doing next year?
Sneak peek. Next year, I'm thinking the same thing, only, you know, really our focus is on closing our resource gaps, which becomes staff and technology, and making the experience better for our patrons. So nothing bigger for the festival except for maybe a celebrity or 2, but then that all depends on funding, right? So the biggest thing we have to work on is, like, we did this volunteer. This is 13 years. So the first 10 were just everybody jump in and make this work, even though I was always at the head of the thing, because I guess I just like to run stuff. And then the last 3 years, I've been on staff. So I'm the only person on staff. And then everybody else is kind of a contractor seasonally. A lot of festivals are run seasonally. But what we need is the proper infrastructure. We did a strategic plan, and it says we need a staff of 3. So when we get to this point and it's everything go, show up at the festival, make sure the box office is, make sure you have volunteers, make sure the films are there, make sure the bills are paid, you know, it just becomes a lot for one person. So the focus is really on putting the right structure in place so the festival can continue, because we put on a world-class festival. We just want everybody to show up and know that that's what this.
Let me ask you a question. Is it real
Okay.
quick? Is it possible to somehow draft some of these students to help out and giving them?
Yeah,
that
we do. But
experience?
again, you got to have you got to have somebody to manage students. You got to have somebody to
Mhm.
manage, you know, interns. And
Mhm.
we've been able to use them for the last 2 years. So we're
Mhm.
building that capacity
Okay.
again, because you can't have one person running marketing, trying to plan the festival. Now got to do interviews, and I got students that somebody need to tell what they do and make sure they're
Right.
doing
Right.
what they're supposed to do. So
Right.
that's the piece I think, you know, people don't understand as much when it comes down to what you need to deliver, to get things done. So it's just really our community. We need to rally around donations, attendance, buying tickets, all of that stuff, which keeps us healthy and encouraged that we're doing the right thing. When you put a show on and nobody shows up, it's like, well, what is, this? So it's either you're not delivering the right product or your marketing is bad. And, I think our product is good. Our marketing, sometimes that's a matter of funding or grassroots. But yeah. So as far as plans for the future, it's just to continue to get better. And what better means sometimes is paying attention to the details. And for this year, because funding was tight, I didn't travel to as many festivals that I normally do. And that's where you get content from. That's where you meet the producers, directors, and filmmakers. And that's how so this year, thank goodness, other people went that know me, and they started to connect me to films like Albany Road that's going to be playing on Sunday, the film like The Blended Christmas, and some of the other films that are featured in the festival. So, yes.
Okay. All right. I just need to deliver a message from my engineer, Tone Harley. He wanted me to let you know that he still loves you.
And, nice. That's good to know.
Okay. And, to ask whatever your ask might be. And I know you mentioned volunteers and ticket sales and all of that. Let them know how they can get that program booklet online so that they know what's happening before they get there and how they can help you out in terms of GCUF.
So the program book is on our website, gcuff.org, GCUFF, like you see in the parentheses around my name. And you can just go on and download the book. Or, if you don't have the capacity to download the book because it's colorful and pretty, use up some space, you can just go on the festival guide, which is also on the website. So if you go to the website, go under festival, and there's schedule, film, and events there, and you can see all what's going on. And what we need is what we need is for everybody to come and buy tickets and spread the word. That's what we need.
They can pick up the book physically too, right? At those locations.
Yes, at Unbar, they're at Unbar and at Fashion by Fowler's.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you Thursday night. You're competing with the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival this year. So more than likely I'll be in Pittsburgh on Friday and Saturday, but I plan to come back and to attend and do what I can in the interim to let folks know that they need to be at GCUF.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
for joining.
You both.
Yes.
All right.
Donna Dabbs, Executive Director of the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival, right here on AM 1490 WVRE. My brother, we have about 20 seconds left in the program.
I don't have nothing.
Anything you want to get to us?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
All right. Well, okay. With that, I just want to encourage folks to visit our YouTube channels. You can find mine under my name, and Lynn's is The Journey with Hamtonio. If you were with us last week, you may have noticed that program with Quad David Whitaker disappeared, but you can still see it on Lynn's channel. So I'm going to push you over there. Also would like to thank our engineer, Tone Harley, for keeping us together. We appreciate you, brother, and we appreciate you for viewing and listening. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channels. As always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make today your absolute best day. Peace.
Peace.